Thank you, Marshall. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the May 8th, 2024 CALPADS Q&A. My name is Paul Higgins. I'm a data analyst working for CSIS supporting CALPADS. All right, some announcements. As you may be aware, end of year is in process. We did kick that off over the weekend to hopefully dull the impact to the system. So revisions did start running a little bit early, and looks like it actually helped us out a little bit. We did have some delay in getting some second and third revisions out there, but I believe that's also being addressed. As for end of year, let's just refresh it. The initial deadline is July 26th. The final deadline is 8/16. Right now, the suggested end of year milestones have us still in the data population phase of the submission. So hopefully you are working locally with all of the people involved in who have to give you data and have notified them what you need and when you need it by, so that way you get it as quickly as possible. Let's see. Oh, the May direct cert file. There was an anomaly in the processing, and it came back with way too many matches. So a new DC file is being generated and should be available tomorrow, according to CDE. I believe an email did go out immediately before this, and it should be in your inboxes now. Angela, do you have anything for bug updates, system updates, anything for the group?
I do. So thanks, Paul. The active and fixed known issues is up to date with the release from yesterday morning. Alex is probably going to navigate there now. And then I wanted to highlight item number 2 under the active issues. So some of our LEAs don't have all 4 revisions yet, so that's a big problem. It also seems to be taking more than 24 hours for some LEAs to get revisions, and so we do have somebody looking into that. That is not the expected behavior. We do expect folks to get revisions faster than that. And just to add a tip on there, if for those of you that forgot about that new data discrepancy screen, that might be one workaround for you. Alex is navigating there now. So the screen refreshes a lot faster than revisions. It doesn't have all the certification errors, but if they're the newer flavor of them, the certification data discrepancies, come here and click the apply filters button. And as you're making changes throughout the day, you will see changes reflected here. Whereas right now, it could be 24 hours on your revision. So it's one way to keep your momentum going.
Thank you, Angela. And I believe we did have one other bug I did want to mention, and that was the legacy cert errors for SPED and SSRV data. That is the next bug down there, and that's what triggered my memory was I was reading down the list. There were some legacy cert errors that relate to SPED data that somehow got reactivated or were never disabled. We're not sure, but they are going to be fully disabled during next Tuesday's maintenance build. So if you have any of the cert 140, 145, 132, et cetera, go ahead and just work around them for now. And next Tuesday, they should disappear after the revision after the build.
Just to add to that, Paul, thank you for following up on that. There are more than that's listed in that title of that bug. There's just only so many that could fit, so we picked the common ones. But if anything that's referencing as the old legacy SPED or SSRV records is likely a culprit. So we do expect those to go away next week.
All right, perfect. Let's go ahead and jump into the chat box, or the chat box. And we're going to start at 3:01 with Doug. Hi, Doug. Q1. And this is very relevant to something that you've been talking about, Angela. Is there a way to have the important messages on the welcome screen to be sorted so the latest is on top of page 1? If someone wants to know about the direct cert data being bad, they need to look at page 2. The date sort does not make sense. How does a message that is over a year old stay on that page when all 4 of the messages on page 2 are less than 10 days old? Can something be done about this?
Doug's been looking over my shoulder. So last week I logged a change request for that. It's been driving me a little batty as well, Doug. So my change request is to, 1, make it more items on the list rather than 5. So you shouldn't have to toggle to page 2. So have a minimum of at least 10 messages up there. And second piece of that was to sort it by date. So the most recent is at the top. So I think that was agreed upon unanimously by our change team, and so that should be a quick fix. So hopefully within the next couple of weeks, we could get that one included.
Excellent. Russell, 301 Q1. We expelled a student from today until the start of the next school year. When we go in the days expelled, would we put in the entire date range as the days expelled or just the number of actual school days? And Kyron has chimed in on this, and he has answered with the correct answer of the total remaining expected school days. And as you can see on the screen, this is in the FAQs as well. Just look up expel or expulsion, and you'll pull up onto the model that's right there. All right, Soraya, 301 Q1. Do EOY amendment windows change to reflect on the California dashboard? Window changes.
Yeah, so long it's done before the amendment window closes.
Oh, that's what she's asking. I think I was with Paul. I wasn't quite sure what the question was there. So is the question, if you certify by the original deadline, but then make changes in the amendment window, are those reflected in the dashboard? And the answer is yes, they will be reflected there. Thank you, Martha.
Yes, thank you, Martha. I was trying to figure out how to answer that. Thank you. Teresa at 302. Hello, Q1. Can you please tell me if the exit code we would use for transition students that are aging out of the program? These students were previously marked as completers with certificates of completion, E125. Pure and simple. E125 is the terminal degree or terminal exit category for students with disabilities who have been in transition, previously exited as E230-120. Karen at 303 Q1 regarding COE students who will be in juvenile detention centers not needing new CALPADS records if their stay will be 10 days or fewer. Is that calendar days or school days? It is calendar days. We have no way to calculate 2,000 plus LEAs school calendars. So we have relied completely on calendar days, and that's what we are referencing. Carrie, 303 Q1. How should students with disabilities who age out and do not graduate be exited?
Depends on whether or not they're coming.
Go ahead.
Oh, so who aged out? Yeah. E125 is probably appropriate, right, Paul?
I would say so long as they have that E230-120 previously.
Correct. Yeah. If they don't, then they should use E230-120.
Yes.
Because they say they do not graduate.
Well, graduate is a loaded term there. Everybody uses it, but nobody uses it quite the way we use it. And Carrie, if you have a follow-up on that, either put it in the chat box below or put it in a service desk ticket and I'll respond to you. Shelley, 305 Q1. Aeries automatically closes programs 101, 108, 113, 122, 174, 181, and 182 starting 30 days prior to our last day of school. Will that cause any issues for student testing? If it does cause problems, would you please let me know where that is documented so I can share it with the Aeries support? Well, program 101 is the 504 accommodation plan. So if you were expecting to be able to put in accommodations for that student, then you would not want to close that record prior to testing. The others, the 122, 124, 181, they're aggregated in end of year, but so long as they were open during the academic year, you're going to be good. And 181, 182 aren't aggregated in end of year.
But they're subgroups.
They're a socioeconomically economically disadvantaged subgroup for purposes of testing. So if they're in the midst of testing, they shouldn't close that program record out prior to a student's test date. So that the end date of that program record should never be before a student tests. long as
And
as long as it's after, it's fine.
I thought we did document that in the flash. Is that the one, Alex?
I
May have been last year. I mean, we definitely told them about exiting, right? Don't exit kids in the middle of testing, future exit. But I thought we also talked about program records. So that may take us a while to find it.
There's a lot of good comments on that question with some good advice.
Yeah, and I believe that the assessment office, along with ETS, put out guidance. They generally put out this time every year as well.
All right, thank you all for that. My screen bounced, so I think I'm back to where I should be. With Maya at 305 Q1. When SPED non-participation code 24 withdrawal is retired and replaced with new codes 27 written revocation, 28 cessation of services without revocation, and 29 no parental consent for initial provision of special education services, what will happen with the data for students who had code 24 in that field? Will we need to go back and repopulate with the appropriate codes?
If they exited in the prior year, I would say you don't need to do anything. You let that withdrawal code stand. This new guidance is sort of going forward as of July 1st. You need to make the distinction between written revocation and students who have a cessation of service, but they haven't explicitly revoked.
Okie doke. Carrie, 307, I see your Q2. I'll come back to that. Angelina, 304 Q1, removal to interim alternative setting will change to unilateral removals to interim alternative setting. Can you elaborate on why or when we would use this option, please? Clarify if it is for all students or just students with disabilities. New documentation? And it looks like Meredith did weigh in below that, so let me read her response. This field will continue to be used for only students with disabilities. The name change is to clarify that these removals are unilateral, school personnel or hearing officers, and not non-unilateral, i.e. the IEP team.
But I will also caution any CALPADS administrator out there, never identify it as a unilateral removal to an interim alternative setting if you have not first spoken to your special education staff, special education directors, because these are extremely, extremely rare placements. So you should confirm with your special education staff before you even make this designation.
Right. All right, moving on to Eva at 305 Q1. We have families who are leaving for the school year this week. Our school year ends on June 7th, 2024. The students who are leaving now and will return in the new school year in August, should I give them an exit code of E155 or should they be coded as unexcused absences? Well, if you expect them to return, they're not moving out of the area, they're not transferring, so you would expect them to be there through the scheduled end of the school year. I would say that they would be unexcused absences, but I would welcome any feedback on that because I would be lacking in any written documentation to support that statement.
Yeah, that's actually correct.
Sorry.
They were expected to be there through the end of school, but parents are taking them out of school early. Those are unexcused absences.
Isn't to use E155, they have to be in school until May 15th?
March 31st and August 15th.
All right. Families leaving, people. All right. My screen flipped again. So moving down to Lou at 312. In CalPADS extracts, other options, uncheck auto. Oh, that's a response. I apologize. That was a response. All right. Going down. All right. We have exceptionally few questions in the box right now, unless I'm missing something. Oh, wait a minute. Sue-Ann at 318. I really need to take an anti-nausea pill before this session each week. All right. I don't see any new ones coming in. I'm scrolling back up and I'm going to hit the Q2s and then we'll just continue down the line. Carrie, Q2 at 307. How should we correct ERDs with a T160 if they have not been enrolled in another LEA and we do not have any information as to where they may have gone? Well, the ERDs, what would that be? Which type is that?
The loss transfer.
Loss transfer. Thank you. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Brandy.
No, I was confirming what Angela said. Yeah.
Thank you. Sometimes the data is just the data. There isn't a correction to be made. The ERD is not counted into your anomaly percentages for the CERT 140. So sometimes those are just going to be there. Because if you have not carried out a full investigation, you can't possibly flip it to the 140, which would be the truant version thereof. But yeah, the T160, when it ages out like that, it shows up as a loss transfer.
I mean, the idea here is that the expectation is that LEAs will conduct a comprehensive investigation, because the use of the T160 is contingent on you receiving, and part of the adjusted cohort graduation rate monitoring instrument requires that for transfers to another California public school that you've confirmed that they've actually gone, right? So if that confirmation isn't there and you don't have documentation of that, then it could potentially lead to a monitoring finding for the adjusted cohort graduation rate. So.
All right. Thank you, Brandy. Mary Masters, 319 Q1. All right, moving on. Chris, 319 Q1. Once again, we are entering into a major reporting period with many major active issues. What is the underlying cause such that this keeps happening? Are there not enough programmers working on CalPADS? We can't say there aren't enough. It's just that there are competing priorities. And the priorities are not always ours to dictate. So we have to be in a reactive mode while we're also trying to be proactive in developing the system. If you ask any software development house if they have enough resources, the answer is always no. They always need more graphic designers, more UI designers, UX, this, that, the other. Everybody needs more resources. We just have a large competing body of stakeholders, and each one needs their thing right now. And we are trying to keep everyone happy as best we can. And we just keep going forward to the best of our ability. So, Angela, anybody want to weigh in on that as well?
I think you answered it well, Paul.
Moving on, Eva, 305 Q1. We have families who are, oh, sorry, we already read that one. All right. Thank you. Looking. Larney 322 Q1. At Monday's office hours, we asked about the reporting data for students with disabilities. Follow-up question to that. Scenario number 9. So can we go to the data reporting scenarios? All right, we're going to be looking at scenarios 9 and 12. She would like a more elaborate example of a scenario 9, since the DSEA are different for each of the scenarios. We're having a difficult time separating the definition of the transfer. It seems like both scenarios qualify as an interdistrict transfer.
So any referral through the IEP process is not an interdistrict transfer. A formal interdistrict transfer is something outside of the IEP process. Okay, and the difference between those two things, by the way, and I can go ahead and take a look at the scenarios, Marnie, to make sure that they're accurate, because my team and I actually just updated all of these. But the difference between an interdistrict transfer and an IEP referral is if the IEP team refers a student to another district and the student receives services and instruction through the other district, the district of residence still retains accountability. Whereas an interdistrict transfer, the receiving district accepts accountability for the student. So it's very different.
All right, thank you, Brandy.
No problem.
And Sue Ann also said that this might be in the forthcoming documentation that Dominic is working on. So that's probably fairly accurate too. Suzanne 324, if a student is expelled by our school board for the rest of the school year and has not enrolled anywhere else, yet in CalPADS, nor have we received a CUME folder request, are we responsible to follow up in a timely manner? I would say yes, but you are not going to change the expulsion exit coding to an E140. But yes, for accurate record keeping and for truancy follow-ups and all of that, yes, you should probably follow up just to know where they're going to land, one way or the other. And you might also find out that they were enrolled somewhere else using a different SSID by accident. So, might want to follow up on that. All right. Let's see, Sue Ann 325. I just wanted to give a shout out to Dominic for working so hard on getting the SPED guide done. Between me bugging Brandy for so long and his hard work, we're finally getting much needed help for CalPADS admins. Thank you, Sue Ann.
Thank you, Sue Ann.
There he is.
Yes.
And Teresa 325, you ask, can you tell us where we can find more information on that? Well, the documentation that Randy and Dominic have been working on, as was stated in the quarterly, should be available in the coming weeks. And I'm sure that there will be some fanfare associated with its publication, especially at this meeting. So just keep an eye out for that, and you should see the new documentation coming out soon. Oh, I'm sorry, you were referring. Sorry, if I had only read the next question. She was actually asking, where can we find more information on interdistrict and IEP students, or interdistrict transfers and IEP students? Sorry.
Right. So you'll see in this District of Special Education Accountability definition, you'll notice that in the section that says it's the District of Special Education Accountability is a district other than the district of geographic residence if any of the following apply. In the very first bullet says, student has a formal interdistrict transfer through Education Code 63600. In this case, the DSEA is the county district code of the district to which the student has transferred, versus a referral through the IEP process, right? So the referral through the IEP process is always going to be the district of geographic residence retains the accountability.
All right, thank you, Brandy. And let's see. Awesome, and you're not that big of a pain. Kara, 328 Q1. I believe that previously through online maintenance, we were able to edit and delete data in the special education containers as long as the student was enrolled with us at the time of the data implementation. This week, for students who have moved out of the district, we have not been able to delete or edit data we sent to CALPADS when the student was enrolled with us. Is this a known issue or a change that was made, or am I wrong in that we used to be able to do this? Example, we need to delete plan and serve with wrong implementation dates, but can't. Well, I guess rather than just giving a broad answer, I guess I would like to know the errors that are being triggered, because if they are GER 5, then I'd want to look at that and make sure that we're in line with that, because I believe that the MEET data does not require to span the whole enrollment, but the serve and the serve and plan data should be within the enrollment window. The MEET does not have to, and the student with disabilities can span multiples. Okay, so it is a GER 5.
Yeah, that's
Check
interesting.
Yeah, it is. So, Kara, can you put in a service desk ticket on that, citing the job ID, so that way we can take a look at that? All right, and I believe we hit the bottom again. All right, so there we go. El Granados at 3:30 Q1. Please talk SPED preschool to me. What is the proper way to enroll and maintain student data? New to the position and found out that the PS no-show is not the way to go. I'm liking El Granados.
Yeah, so there's an FAQ that they're showing on the webpage, which is consistent with the webinar that I did on creating and maintaining SSIDs for students with disabilities. There's a slide in there. The frequently asked question also has all of this information. Okay, the other thing I wanted to just kind of give you a heads up on is the Special Education Division just sent out some guidance this morning about preschool age students with disabilities that are attending private schools. And so we will be updating, we will be providing the CALPADS office with some more information about this, but essentially this guidance now allows you to enroll preschool grade level students, preschool age students at private schools using the non-ADA enrollment status of 50 and a school code of 00000002 on an individualized service plan. We previously prevented you from submitting students in preschool on ISPs, and you can do that now, or at least that the guidance was not to do that. Preschool age students always had to be on IEPs, and now they can actually be on ISPs as long as those students with disabilities are attending private schools that not only have preschool programs, but they also have PK, kindergarten, elementary grades, all the way up to grade 12. So we will be making some changes to this particular slide deck for that change in guidance. This was something that we had to consult with our legal division on. So,
does the FAQ need to be updated too, Martha or Brandy?
Actually, it's done already. we had updated it a while back. This particular one, yeah, it's already there. We made the change today, actually.
And does it talk about the exit date and N470? Because that's what the user was just asking about.
So with preschool enrollments and the N470, really the only time that that's applicable, and if you look at that slide, the exiting enrollments for students with disabilities, the only time that it, yeah, you were just on it. The only time that that's applicable for any age is when they are actually assessed. They're not actually attending a preschool program. They're assessed for special education services, and the parent either declines the offer of FAPE or they are not eligible, right? So if they decline or the student's not eligible, that's when a no-show enrollment is applicable. If a preschool student is eligible, is not attending a preschool program, but they're eligible, you leave that enrollment open until the end of the year or until they stop receiving services.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, Brandy, just for El Granado's edification, where would they go to get onto the SPED listserv and to get all this good information on a timely basis?
Oh, so you are more than welcome to join our CALPADS SPED support listserv, and I will go ahead and put that into the chat right now.
I did it, Brandy.
Oh, you did it already. Thank you. Gracias.
All right. So the link that they've posted in there, go ahead and join that listserv, and you should get some more up-to-date information as well as be involved in any conversations that are going on there. Moving on, Sue Ann at 332 loves listening to Brandy talk SPED. Kara says that she did not receive anything via the SPED listserv. Should she have?
So it went out on the SPED info share listserv. We had actually prepared guidance for the CALPADS SPED support listserv a while back, but we needed to wait until the official communication went out through SPED info share. So it did go out this morning because I got it. I would be happy to forward it to both of you. And it had to do with, by the way, it was equitable services for students attending private schools. So, okay. And just remember the SPED listserv that I'm talking about, the SPED info share, is different than the CALPADS SPED support listserv. We had not sent anything out through that listserv. This is something specific for the special education division.
All right. Thank you, Brandy.
No problem.
All right. Larney, 333, Q2. We are a little confused about the defects on CDDs. When I click on the error code link from our data discrepancy screen, it takes us to the CALPADS user manual screen. This screen shows active defects in red bold letters for the error code. However, when I go to the active defects, fix node, I don't see anything, and she's citing 390E4. I'm in the user manual under plan 390E4, and the active defects section reflects none. So that active defects is just a header, and it's different colored just to draw your attention to it. And if there is an active defect there, it'll be a blue URL identifying the PM number, and then it would take you to the active defects screen when you click on it. But since there are none here, there's nothing to take you to. Jan 333, Brandy, where was that guidance posted? And I believe you just addressed that.
And I'm also posting the link to the Equitable Services webpage that was referenced in that SPED info share message. So please, this is essentially where you can go to find out what that communication said. There also is information on how enrollment should be created for these students. And they're showing that on the screen. Perfect. And if it's down at the very bottom, you will see CALPADS. There we go, right? Just past it just a little bit. So it's CALPADS data reporting. And then the frequently asked questions have been updated that were associated with this.
All right. Again, perfect. Thank you. 333, Marshall posted a link to the creating and maintaining SSIDs for students with disabilities training. Jan at 335 is saying she thought that Brandy said that the deck needed to be updated now that the new guidance is posted.
Yeah, the slide deck definitely does need to be updated. Remember, that's actually a webinar that we did. We will update the slide deck. I don't know when we will get around to, very likely when we, possibly in the fall, we can redo that webinar.
All right. Sean at 335 posted the link to, or the instructions on how to subscribe to the CalPADS Sped Support Listserv. Again, 335. And right below that is Brandy's. Suzanne, 335. So for pending evaluation preschool students who attend private schools, ? We leave their SENRs open?
If they're receiving services through an ISP, the answer is yes. Right? Because you maintain those enrollments. The only time that you don't maintain those enrollments is when they're determined to be ineligible, or the parent declines FAPE. They're not actually receiving services anywhere.
So,
otherwise, yes, you would.
Sorry, Brandy, the question is for pending evaluation students. So, and the answer to that is yes, this enrollment would need to be open until the initial meeting is held, and then based on that determination, you would either keep the enrollment active if they're receiving services, or, if not, exit them.
Yes, you are correct.
All right. Thank you for those clarifications. Let's see. There's a few people saying that they are members of the SPED listserv, but they didn't get anything today.
Yeah, remember, it's not the CalPADS SPED support listserv. It is the SPED info share, which is the larger listserv controlled by the special education division. So you would have to have been a part of that particular listserv. Not exactly sure how folks join that listserv, but we will also send, matter of fact, as soon as this call ends, I promise I'll get on the SPED data support listserv and I will forward this guidance that came from SPED info share.
Thank you, Brandy.
No problem.
All right, 337, Kyron posted an updated table in the FAQ for what is the appropriate enrollment status and enrollment start date to use when creating SSIDs and enrollments for students who are being newly evaluated for special education. So 337. Kelly, 338, Q1. Who should be on the SPED info share? SEDS admins? Can we get on it if we submit the files in the set for the SEDS admin? Never mind, already explained. Perfect, thank you. And Jan at 339 just informs us that Flash 270 just hit our inboxes. So if you're curious, you probably have a new Flash sitting in your inbox right now.
Hey, I found the information for assessment and what some of the guidance was. It was in the March regional, and I just put it in chat.
Yay.
Thank you.
So I think that was Jan that was asking that, right?
I believe it was, yes. All right, so that's at the 3:43 timestamp. And Suan at 3:43 also posted a link to various listservs for us, CDE listservs. So that should be a nice menu to draw from. All right, I'm not seeing any new questions below that one yet. Oh, Chris at 3:44. Any movement on further consideration of removing at least some validations occurring during a delete of a SPRG record? Currently, when performing a delete, the system validates an overlapping enrollment, generates a GER5. If we don't have an overlapping enrollment, this forces the LEA to add a temporary covering enrollment to perform the delete of the record and then removing that temporary enrollment after the delete posts. I recently had to clean up 5 SPRGs that didn't have covering enrollments and spent 25 minutes doing so via online maintenance.
I don't anticipate any changes to that. So I think people should just be in the mindset of before you delete your enrollment, that should be the very last record you delete. Always go look for programs, courses, any other thing that you may want to come back and edit later on. Those should be removed first and then do the enrollment last.
And Suan at 3:45 says what Angela said.
I don't disagree that it's a nosebleed, especially after you've deleted the enrollment and then you have to go back and retrace your steps. That's not fun, but I think just try to get in the habit of checking the other programs or containers first and make sure it's cleaned up before you delete the enrollment.
Jan 3:46, Angela, that works when deleting manually, but what about if the enrollment is deleted as part of SCNR reconciliation?
Yeah, we probably want to talk about that. I think we have a vendor call tomorrow, Jan. Yeah, so maybe you could have that as a walk-on. We could see if we can talk through that.
Rachel 3:46, is there anything wrong with the CERT 131? CERT 131 is student enrollment record in active academic year has not been exited.
I think why a lot of people are getting that is because they haven't closed out the school year first. So as far as we know, it's working.
Yeah, there's a little nuance to that, guy. Remember, if they enrolled late in the school year, there's some trick about that where
it's the May 15th date that they're calculating on.
Yeah, we do some
That's
math
right.
for you. And so those kids that came late in the school year, the math doesn't add up to CalPADS, and so it triggers that. And I just tell people to ignore it. It'll go away once you actually close out for the school year. But you'll typically see it for the kids who enrolled in May.
All right, yeah.
EOI is coming back to me. Just takes a couple days.
Like that too. It's going to take us a week. I think CalPADS behaves that way too. It's just starting. So give us a couple of weeks. It'll be, up to speed.
The engine's turned over, but it's just sort of warming up right now.
And Jan, of course, taps the last nail into the coffin here with the comment, since we can't just change the start date anymore. Which...
Well, there is movement on that front. So yeah, we may get to a point where we just let you guys update the enrollment and program start dates. There's some technical work that needs to happen on the back end first, and I believe they want to talk to you, Jan, but not just you, but the other vendors as well first.
Yeah, they want to have a word with you, Jan, before they give you the keys to the kingdom here. All right. Let's Tiffany, 346, Q1 for preschool students under 3 undergoing initial evaluation and the student becomes eligible. How would we enroll and exit the student? Currently, we are doing a district enrollment, then exit the student within 470 after the student turns 3. We update the student's SPED record as eligible, then re-enroll the student. Is that correct? Brandy responded that the enrollment date should be the student's 3rd birthday.
I know that previously we told you that you could enroll them during that, or enroll them with the date of parental consent for initial evaluation. But for consistency's sake, remember that kids can't actually be served on Part B at your districts until their 3rd birthday. So a good rule of thumb for enrollments for preschool age students who are being assessed for initial evaluation for Part B, that plan can't start until their 3rd birthday. So the enrollment date should be their 3rd birthday.
All right, Brandy, keep your mic unmuted here because the next one's for you too. Kara, 346, more on my Q1, Plan 366E4. Students had an IEP on 10/3/2023 with an effective date of 10/4/2023, but the student's 3rd birthday wasn't until 11/2, and the student actually did not enroll and begin services until 1/10/2024. We were able to submit updated plan and serve data with the correct implementation dates, but have not been able to delete the incorrect plan and serve data because there was no enrollment that covered those dates.
So, Kara, if you're trying to delete the plan records with the incorrect dates, what you can do is just work with your CALPADS administrator to sort of create an enrollment a temporary enrollment that overlaps those periods so that you can delete the records, and then they can remove the temporary enrollment. And Angela, I don't know if you have a better suggestion.
I don't, unfortunately.
Yeah. And so, I mean, in some cases where now you're left with these orphan plan and serve records that don't have an overlapping enrollment, because those actually have to have an overlapping enrollment. If you're left with those orphan records, you need to work with your CALPADS admins to assist in the creation of an enrollment that does overlap, let you fix the record, and then they can put it back to what it was.
All righty. Let's see. 347, Sue Ann's comment is, call me paranoid, but I never upload a delete file without looking at the records in CALPADS first. Good practice. And both Sue Ann and Jan were very happy to hear that there is movement on the potential to change enrollment start dates and program start dates. All right, Kara at 350, Q2, student was exited in CIRUS as left school, completed high school, graduated from high school with regular diploma. His enrollment exit in CALPADS matches this information, but his status says eligible and not enrolled, left school, not expected to return. I have found multiple examples of this. Any idea what is happening?
So this is an issue we're going to talk to your vendors about tomorrow. What we found is, Kara, this exit code previously in the SPED before SPED redesign was code 71 in your system, which was a generic high school completer, which covered both graduates and completers. Okay, and so I think what's happening is your vendors are still using that code 71, and they're creating those statuses of eligible, not enrolled, left school, not expected to return. So we will talk to them about that. This is not only a CIRUS issue, but it's also a state issue. So stay tuned on that. because again, for high school graduates, the status we expect is not eligible, right? Because to be very clear, the student graduates with a standard high school diploma, they are not eligible to return for IDEA services. Okay, whereas if you were a high school completer, you got your GED, you passed some high school proficiency exam, you got your adult ed diploma. Any of those options, a student with disabilities can actually come back to receive services if they didn't get a standard high school diploma. And that also includes our new alternative pathways diploma, which is code 102, although we don't expect to see it in those kids this year.
All right. Natasha is humorously proposing that we give CalPADS 2 weeks to, loosen up, get up to speed, and we just tack those 2 weeks onto the back end of it, just to get us up to speed. Just a thought. And I think that is where we're at. I don't see anything below that. Oh, wait. Maybe.
I think Nalisa's the last question. 354.
All right, I'm looking for 354. I got, nope. Oh, there it is. Okay. 354, Nelisa. Q1, normally we send a primary enrollment record to CalPADS with the date the parents sign the assessment plan for preschool students who are assessed for SPED. Is this not correct? Is this not the correct way to do it? A lot of times the date the parent signs the assessment plan is before their third birthday.
Yeah, and actually, in cases where they're being identified early on, it would be before their third birthday. So you could use the parental consent date, but what we found in cases where sometimes LEAs are using the parental consent date, they're getting special education errors because there's not an overlapping status between the date of parental consent and, let's say, the plan effective start date. So sometimes it leads to other errors. And so if your plan is, or if the student can't even be on a plan until their third birthday, then even if you do the assessment at 2 years, 9 months, and the student is determined to be eligible, that plan effective start date will not be until their third birthday. The other issue that we see is conflicts, particularly when they're transitioning from Part C to Part B, so the infant program to an IEP. We see those overlaps. And so therefore, when you're putting them on Part B, using the third birthday as the enrollment is always a good rule of thumb, unless they're actually attending preschool in your district. So look out for more guidance on this, because we know we have to sort of revisit this area because of all the new guidance that's come out.
Perfect, thank you. Tiffany, 355, Q2, follow up to my Q1. The enrollment was before their third, or sorry, but the enrollment before they are 3 is okay. I understand that the plan and services cannot start until their third birthday. In these scenarios, our district will hold the IEP prior to the student's third birthday, and then we affirm, update the students eligible on or after their third birthday and submit to CalPADS.
So Tiffany, I think one of the things that's driving this, and which drove this us to give that guidance of using the parental consent date for initial evaluation in the prior year, right, when we had the SPED and SSRV records, one of the things that was driving that was, first of all, our validations were a little bit different, but understand that we've decoupled meetings from plans now, okay? So, and also, we don't require an enrollment to submit meeting information. So for example, I have a student that is 2 years, 9 months old and needs to be evaluated for Part B. Okay, so I go ahead and I hold that evaluation. Let's say they'll turn 3 in, let's say June. They're going to turn 3 in June. So I'm holding that assessment now. My meeting date can be May 8th, and we'll go up to CALPADS without a problem, even without an overlapping enrollment. Okay, what matters is the plan effective start date, right? When will that student start receiving services? So it's not really necessary to create enrollments based on the parental consent for evaluation date anymore. You used to have to do that to be able to even get the record up into CALPADS because it had to overlap the meeting date. In this case, it doesn't have to anymore. So that's why we're just recommending, the meeting date can be whatever it is. Plan effective start date should certainly be the student's 3rd birthday, and the plan effective start date should coincide with the enrollment start date. I hope that helps.
Perfect. Thank you, Brandy. All right. I'm not seeing anything else, and I opened up my mail, and I'm looking at the new Flash 270, and it's titled 2023-2024 End of Year 4 Special Education Revised Guidance and Other Updates. Described as, this Flash summarizes the key changes for End of Year 4. The Flash also provides information, revised guidance, and other special education updates that were previously sent in listserv messages from the CDE Special Education Division and is being repeated in this Flash for future reference. So there you go. That should be in your inbox. So please pull that out and take a look at it. And with that, I believe we are done for the day. We're just crossing the 4 o'clock threshold. So thank you for your time. I appreciate you being here. Always a pleasure. If you have any questions, concerns, problems before next week's Q&A, please open a CALPADS service desk ticket so we can get back to you as quickly as possible. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.